Well, welcome back. I'm George, and as promised, we are going to do the assembly of our G-Still, the manual version. Now, this one it's incredible. So please stay tuned. And look, if you're a new viewer, we say welcome, and welcome to the community. If you're a return viewer, thank you. In any case, make sure you subscribe. All right? Now, comments below are always answered. You can always get in touch with me. I do that all the time, and I do get a lot of phone calls. I don't mind. I prefer email, but phone calls are fine too. Emails I can get to a whole lot. I can space it out. All right, let's get right down to the brass tacks. When this thing comes, you've got to assemble it just like you would the automated version. But in this particular case, we've got two heater elements, and we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. What we're going to do today is we've got to wire this. So you got to wire it on your own. And if you follow through with this, what we're doing today is applicable to a lot of different things that you may find yourself challenged with around the home, because it's fairly simple and straightforward. Now, we've got a bundle heater element. That means there's more than one element here. We've got two of them. We've got a 2,000 watt and a 2,000 watt, and this is rated at 240 volts. And what that is they're connected electrically inside to operate either individually or in tandem. If they work together, we're going to have 4,000 watts of power. Once we get up to temperature, and you'll turn it back down to position 1, only one of them will operate at 2,000 watts power to maintain your temperature. So let's get right at it. For this particular setup, I'm going to use a 12 gauge 3-wire connector because I don't need anything else in here but 240 volts. Now keep that in mind, because and we've got another video on that. I believe that's right here on a 3-wire versus 4-wire for 240 volts and 240 volts, because there's two different configurations, and it's, believe it or not, it's not complicated. All right, in this particular case, all we need is 240, so a 3-wire will do. We're going to have a hot, and a ground. Because when you have 240 volts and 2 hots, it creates its own neutral. Okay, just keep that in mind. Let's do this. I'm going to open this up, and this is one of those items that when anything else you get, they always say do not open. This is one of them items you got to open, and it's real simple. It's just 2 wing nuts. So you remove the 2 wing nuts, and they're small, so keep them secure, because they will get away from you if not. So we remove those, and this cover plate comes off. Now you'll notice inside here, you'll see here this is the ground wire that goes to the box. That grounds the box and the kettle. And then, oh yeah, I got my fingers right. There you go. That's a hot lead and a hot lead. A hot and a hot. That's all you got. So what we need to do is we need to hook a hot wire here. Whoop, there we go. There. We need to hook one hot wire here, one here, and then the ground here. It's that simple. Now, if you had a 4-wire connection, that means you'd have an additional wire. And I'll show you this. It's a lot easier to explain on the plug that I will put on the other end of it. Now, this is a 4-lug plug, or 4 spades. This one's the ground, the top. The bottom one is always the white, the neutral. Then you have a hot and a hot. Now, in this particular case, since I know that my receptacle will receive 4 prongs, instead of putting a new receptacle in there, another receptacle, I'm going to use this one, but all I'm going to wire is the hot, and the ground. I'm not going to wire anything into this one. If I did, then I would be able to pull 120 volts for a separate circuit. As an example, in your stove, we know that your oven works on 240. We know that your burners work on 240, but your clock, your fan, I mean, those things that they run on 120, that's why they have 4 wires. Because what they'll do is they'll pull 2 wires, they'll pull these 2 for the elements, to make them hot. And then when it comes time to run like the fan or something like that, they'll run one from here and one from here, or one from here and one from here. And then you only get 120 volts. So that's how you can use those lower circuit inside an appliance with 4 wires. That's the only difference. So yes, you can use a 4 spade plug. Okay? But I'm just not going to wire this one. And then that way this will plug right in there. That one's not going anywhere. And I've only got these two and this one wired. That's all I need in here. Let's get on to that. So what I did was I took some, the spades is what you start with, but these are just lugs. And they're round. You crimp them. Of course you got to pull the insulation off the wire, strip them back a little bit, slide those on there, and then crimp them with a crimping tool or a good pair of pliers. You got to put some real effort into it, get them. So I've got those 3. What I'm going to do is attach those inside here, and I'll do that and be right back. There, that was straightforward. Now you look inside, you'll see there's my hot, and ground. So this thing's ready to go. All I gotta do now is put the cover back on. So we'll put the plug on very last. That's be the very last thing we put on. It's not difficult, just a couple screws. Now for the easy part, just slide it in. And you slide it in with the control knob facing up so you can get to it. Now, if you've ever messed with these tri-clamps, they can be a bit of a bear. There we go. Only because they're just not that easy to line up. But once you get them lined up, and then just give it a finger tight, snug. Please don't use pliers on these. It only takes, just make it finger tight. Because what it'll do is it's going to compress that fitting against that gasket. There we go. So I'm all set. Now that's one good part. Now it's time to move on to put on the column. And of course, then we're going to start working with the thermometers. Remember I told you that your manual still will come with thermometers that are in centigrade or Celsius. And they've also sent you the additional replacements if you want to use those for Fahrenheit. And I'm accustomed to Fahrenheit, so I'm gonna switch them out. I'll show you how to do that. It's real simple. It's just a screw. Pop them out and pop new ones in. So let me get on to the rest of this. Okay, the first thing that we're going to add, in this particular case, mine still came with the standoff, and it also came with the sight glass with copper in it. And you can use either one. I wouldn't recommend using both. Really, there's no use in it, and you just got one more connection. So I'm going to use this, and in our bag, everything you need is here. So I like to try to put all my tri-clamps in the same place. It doesn't always work out that way. All right, on the second stage. And look, this is almost like a Lego's building block at this point. So why don't I just go ahead and finish putting this together, and then you can come back. Now this is where I'm attaching the filter to the side, and they're put on with these clamps. They'll actually screw right in. The stud is already there, and then all you got to do is add the cap. And this is a time when those two 10mm wrenches come in handy. There's that. This is where it'll generally be, somewhere in this neighborhood. So I'm just going to snug it up right now. Okay, now we've got the initial column, or stage 1, I like to call that, along with the filter attached. The next one is stage 2. All right, now that we've got stage 1 on, stage 2's here. You assemble this one aside, and then you attach it to the remainder of the column. It's a whole lot easier to put together down here. So what we've got the condenser connected to the second stage of this in such a manner that small hose sticks out to the right, and that's where the two clamps go. and we will place our needle valve unit. And that goes right here. The same way the filter went on, we'll just put that on here. Be right with you. Now we've got it assembled. Okay, this is the upper portion, and you'll see everything is here to include the tooth thermometers. The top one goes to the top hole, the bottom one goes to the bottom hole, and that's going to be the output temperature and the stabilization temperature. And I mounted that a little bit canted down because I know it's going to be high. That way I can look at it and see it. But it's very simple, straightforward, and the rinse valve goes right here. So all I'm getting ready to do now is just to lift this up and attach it to the top of this. And that's next. Alrighty, now let's see how this works. Yep. Ooh, yeah. It's not that heavy. It's just a little bit, there you go, a little bit bulky. Now, I actually want to have this rotated around here so that I can get to the filter and tri-clamp. Once a tri-clamp's on here, it'll kind of hold it, but it would really be nice to have another set of hands just about right now where my jar plate will go. This is my collection vessel. And this is nothing more than just a small stainless steel table. And of course, I'll go back through and I'll tighten up everything. You want to put it together just a little bit loose in the beginning so that you can make some minor and fine-tuning adjustments. I've got one tube, and this one comes from the out here, and it's going to go directly to the filter right there. And then, so I've got my heads, whoop, there we go, and 4 shots that come out here. And when I open up this ball valve, there we go, it runs through my filter and it comes out hearts. My other option really is to skip the filter. I can just run another tube from here down and just collect them straight from there. That would be if I was running in a pot still mode. I don't know if this filtering for vodka it is really, really helpful. So let me turn those off. All right, we finally got the whole thing together. All these pieces. And all I can show you now is that the manual still is complete. It doesn't take that long to put together. It's fairly intuitive. Okay, we've got 5 data points of temperature probes. And when we run this, what we'll do is we'll be able to show you, that one will be much more interesting and a little bit technical because we're going to use those 5 in order to do a real short calculation, a determination, and then give us a temperature to track and our needle valve positioning in order to receive that precision that we're looking for out of the G-still. So it'll be about 2 weeks or so before I get back, and then that's when we're going to make this next run, and we'll run it through this and I'll show you how all of that works. So until next time, as always, happy distilling.